Ireland arms up with C295 aircraft as Russian threat hits home. This is the deep dive for January 10th, 2026. Subscribe to Defense Reports, your go-to source for timely, in-depth military and defense reports. I'm Alex. Join me with Arya in this latest deep dive for a sharp, no-nonsense breakdown of the latest in global defense news, military technology, and strategic developments. And today we are charting, I think, a fundamental, maybe even an irreversible
Peter Lynch has been
in
I'm a fisherman here and out for 30 years now. So, yeah, all my life since I left school. And before that, since I was small. My father fished. I was like my grandfather. I don't know how far back fishing is. We arrive at about 6, load bait onto the boat, get all things ready, bait chopped up, whatever, set up all the equipment in the wheelhouse. Then, whatever, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, we leave the harbour then.
Detail this shift with, well, stunning clarity.
It's a one-man show. I own the boat, I run the boat, I have 2 crewmen.
C295 fleet.
Keeping the boat running, you know. Just, I suppose, that's the challenge.
And what this 300 million purchase really tells us about a rapid strategic pivot. The mission today is to analyze this move towards a new posture, one focused on multi-domain operations.
Currently at present, a national maritime security strategy is being developed for Ireland, which is essential for providing security to the state and security to wider European nations. Our primary role is to defend Ireland, protect Ireland and its citizens. We've just under 20% of the total EU waters. That is a challenge for us, and certainly the 295 platform and system brings a whole new range of capabilities to us.
Which happened right in Ireland's own exclusive economic zone.
Right on their doorstep.
I grew up not far from here. My hometown is Clondalkin, beside the airbase here. So I always grew up watching the Air Corps aircraft flying around. So it was always my ambition to join the Air Corps. Our main mission is fisheries protection and fisheries monitoring. So our task in 101 Squadron is to ensure what they call a level playing field across our EEZ. And our job is to conduct aerial surveillance and support to the naval service to ensure that all the vessels in our area, EU vessels and then non-EU vessels, they're all conforming to the same set of rules. Anything that goes towards maintaining a safe and secure economic zone for Ireland falls on us.
Just a few months.
From an operational perspective, it's a massive difference then between the CN235 and the 295. The jump in computational technology is massive, and it just increased the value of our unit and the organisation to the state. When we're positioning into an area, we have a really good informed picture of what's out there, and that might dictate a change to our plan. One of the interesting items we have on board now is the LiDAR, and it's a game changer for us in terms of, you know, if it's coastal mapping. We have the sea pollution detection system, another IR sensor, which is a backup, which helps us with that job with the Coast Guard as well. So we're seeing more at sea now than we have ever seen before in different ways. The aircraft basically takes in an awful lot of data between all of its sensors. So we have various uses and various customers for all that data. Our primary one is the Sea Fisheries Protection Authority and the Naval Service.
We will partner with the Air Corps to do the offshore work. It's a relationship that is hugely beneficial to the Sea Fisheries Protection Authority. They're able to successfully monitor potential illegal, unregulated and undocumented fishing off the Irish coast. They assist in vessel identification, so a wide range in what they provide for us, but as I say, it's invaluable.
Is interference amongst the states. We are talking specifically about protecting critical national infrastructure, the big one being the essential submarine communication cables.
The ones that carry pretty much
John Lynch is my name, and I've been involved in fishing all my life. I fished for almost 40 years full time, and previously as a boy with my father, fished in summer times and things like that. Fishing has kind of lost its influence in Holt now. The number of vessels has gone down. My brother used to fish on this boat with us, you know, and then he moved on. He made a great move. He bought his own boat. He is now working with the lobster pots and whelk pots, you know, for all shellfish. It's probably a nice life, you know, because you, unlike fishing on these type of vessels where you can go away for a couple of weeks or more from home, on those vessels, most times you're home every night.
Together all the sensor data, weapons control, navigation, everything into one
the inshore fishery, anything up to 12 miles, they're very, very important for local communities. The potential that illegal fishing, the impact it can have on local economies is huge.
And maybe via satellite links That immediately pulls the C295 into the whole concept of multi-domain operations, doesn't it?
Precisely. It's not just an air asset anymore. It's a sensor node that depends on the cyber and space domains to even function.
The crew will arrive up to the unit here in this hangar,
Let's shift from the
and
what
we'll
to the
conduct
why.
a
We know
brief
about
together.
the
So the flight crew will brief weather conditions and confirm what patrol zone we're going to.
For Ireland, probably Dublin.
Well, there's a geopolitical shock.
We set up the system on the ground, we make sure everything is operating correctly, and then we take off.
The threat tangible for the Irish.
That product is in 2023.
We're constantly gathering information, and then when we descend into the patrol area, we will typically descend to 5,000 feet and start looking at basically what's around within range in our area. With all the capabilities on board the aircraft, we can re-roll very quickly, even in the air, and we can perform different tasks. So we can switch from a security mission to a search and rescue top cover mission whilst in the air. There's no need to return to base or anything like that. For sightings of vessels or for further inspection, we'll descend to maybe 1,000 feet, or if needs be, we can go lower. And that's when we're looking for targeted or really specific information on the vessel. So that's where we can see activity on deck, identifying features on the vessel, equipment in use, communication equipment in the case of military vessels. And then all that information is incorporated into the mission equipment.
Systemic modernization.
And a signal of commitment to European security.
A very clear signal. Which brings us back to the core of this whole thing. Neutrality. The sources argue that Ireland has always been politically aligned with Europe, just not militarily.
Right, political alignment and military non-alignment. That's the phrase.
Exactly. And the war in Ukraine exposed how difficult it is to maintain that military distance, both morally and practically.
So the central question for them became, what is our role when friendly European nations are facing aggression?
The answer they seem to be landing on is that the security of your neighbors is intrinsically linked to your own.
We're looking forward to developing into an air force. However, we have to maintain our capabilities that we're doing at the moment. We're looking to expand. We have new platforms, capabilities coming on stream.
Moving away from the old siloed models towards.
We really are trying our best with, relatively small resources here. But it's important for us that whatever we operate and however we do it, that we get the absolute most out of each platform. And certainly with the 295, we are developing that capability now. I see the future for the 295 only enhancing the state security as we go forward, to be involved in the process and to conduct the operations we do on a daily basis gives me an enormous sense of satisfaction.
5 domains by adding cyber and space.
For me, I suppose it's a realization of a dream. From looking up, stopping in the middle of a game of football to see the jets, the airplanes flying overhead during the summertime. And it's just nice that, maybe 15, 20 years later, I was flying 235 and now I'm in the position to manage the 295 projects. It's a good feeling.
The sources talk about moving from deconfliction, which is just trying not to bump into each other, to a proper joint headquarters model.
And that means ending what was called cake sharing.
Exactly. An end to internal service protectionism. MDO demands they plan, train, and buy equipment together.
But they aren't doing this alone. They're using European structures like PESCO.
Absolutely. Leveraging permanent structured cooperation, PESCO, is vital for a small nation. But it has to show clear national benefits. It's a pragmatic way to gain high-end capabilities and interoperability you couldn't afford on your own.
Let's focus on those 2 new domains for a second. Cyber and space. Where does Ireland actually stand in these arenas?
The sources are blunt. A threat to space security is a threat to national security, too. But they also say Ireland is light years behind other European nations in optimizing space for military use.
So what's their immediate focus there?
It's necessarily tactical for now, monitoring their EEZ via satellite using space for communications relay, which loops right back to the C295 and its FITS system.
So the more immediate threat is probably cyber. What's the focus there?
It's heavily weighted towards defense and capacity building, protecting their own networks, number one. But a really practical step is seconding their personnel to the Cybersecurity Center of Excellence in Tallinn, Estonia.
Learning directly from partners on the front line of Russian influence.
That's the idea. It shows the urgency.
The war in Ukraine didn't just highlight air defense. It taught essential lessons about resilience in the gray zone, that area between peace and war, and about logistics.
And these lessons are profoundly important for any open democracy, especially an island nation. Gray zone aggression is non-military. It's hard to prove. The goal is just destabilization.
Can you give us a clear example of how that works? It can feel a bit theoretical.
The source material has a perfect, chilling one. The Belarusian authorities' weaponization of migration back in 2021. They actively funneled asylum seekers to the borders of Lithuania, Latvia, and Poland.
Not a military attack, but a state-sponsored effort to overwhelm their systems.
Exactly. Using human beings as leverage to fracture political unity.
So if you can't deter it conventionally, how do you fight back?
You shift to deterrence by denial. You can't stop the actor, so you deny them the ability to succeed. This means building deep societal resilience, training citizens in information literacy, and hardening your critical national infrastructure.
And speaking of infrastructure, Ukraine proved that logistics can be more important than technology.
Absolutely. The war showed that the ability to improvise and keep supply chains open is paramount.
And this has, well, almost existential implications for Ireland, right?
It forces a brutal security review. The simple, dumb infrastructure of seaports is a massive vulnerability. Dublin Port alone handles 2/3 of all their port traffic.
And in an emergency, the line between civilian and military logistics just disappears.
It completely collapses, especially if the cyber systems controlling the ports get hacked. If commercial systems fail, military supply lines fail too.
And that interconnectedness, that total dependence, highlighted the need for a major organizational fix.
It did. The Commission on the Defense Forces proposed a new Joint Logistics Command, a single entity responsible for the entire defense supply chain, specifically recognizing that it all now relies on the space and cyber domains. It's an MDO-driven logistics solution. So, to synthesize this deep dive, Ireland's C295 acquisition and its record defense budget, they are the concrete evidence of a profound strategic awakening. This shift is driven by the immediate need to protect maritime security after aggressive Russian actions, combined with learning the hard lessons from Ukraine to rapidly embrace integrated multi-domain defense concepts.
And this strategic pivot towards greater alignment within structures like the Joint Expeditionary Force and PESCO, it requires immense resources, not just hardware, but human capital. So, given that the Defense Forces are dealing with serious recruitment and retention challenges, consider this. How effective can a small nation's pivot to sophisticated MDO and joint structures truly be without first solving the problem of attracting and keeping the skilled people needed to operate all that high-tech hardware? That human resource strategy is arguably Ireland's most critical and most challenging front line. You've been listening to Defense Report by Alex and Aria, where we analyze the latest in military strategy, global defense, and advanced weaponry. Subscribe to Defense Reports, your go-to source for timely, in-depth military and defense reports. We'll catch you next time.